the end of the day, it's just like all of this stuff, analyzing the draft. Again, it can't really be stressed enough how difficult it is without knowing what the Celtics are going to do in free agency. And it looks to me like they've laid the ground to be aggressive. That's my hunch because of the pieces that they took and the confidence that they'll have in renouncing all of their free agents. Announcing Morris and Terry Rozier, opening up like plenty of being able to afford a 7 through 9 year experience max player pretty easily.
Yeah, like it wouldn't surprise me if he slid into those minutes.
I think that this team will be aggressive. I know you think that they're more likely to take on an unwanted contract and pick up more assets, but I really think this team is going to be out there for an actual max player, and that's super exciting. I don't know. I mean, like it's kind of funny just how the winds of the NBA change so rapidly. Like it looked like when news hit that the Celtics were going to lose Horford as well, that it was kind of a doomsday scenario. And we'll see what happens. I mean, they could sign a guy who kind of turns it around in a season that is essentially up for grabs next year.
Yeah, I mean,
Kawhi Leonard is going to come to the Celtics. Exactly. Is basically what I'm saying.
Danny Ainge had a press conference on this like late, at 1 a.m. on Friday morning, and was very defiant in terms of being like, "Hey, we were prepared for this. Like, we're ready for this." He obviously couldn't comment on anything Horford or Kyrie related, but reading between the lines and what the Celtics did last night kind of tells the story there. And
so quick, sorry to interrupt. Quick question for you. How crazy do you think we would get in terms of a talented free agent coming in for like a meeting? Like, I mean, that's a great question. Like, do you think that, like, why isn't, I'm just throwing this out there, but like, why isn't KD a pseudo possibility? Why isn't Kawhi? Why couldn't they get a meeting? Like I'm not saying that they're actually in those conversations, because these players probably weren't considering the Celtics as a destination this whole time, and they were probably locked in on the organizations, and they've already done their due diligence about and gotten all the information that they want about the Clippers and the Nets and the Knicks and these teams. But like, why? Like, I don't know. I feel like I can't really put my finger on why none of those players would even listen to the Celtics pitch them, because I think the Celtics have a very intriguing sales pitch for these guys, to be honest with you. Well, Danny Ainge thinks so too, because this was his quote last night. Okay. When asked about his approach for free agency or just the offseason, quote, "It's not going to change. Maybe the players and the names on the jersey change, but the approach is the same. We have a very attractive franchise to play for, and there's a lot of people who would be dying to come play here." Okay, well, that's certainly projecting from a position of strength. I very don't interesting. Notice Al Horford walking out of the door on the other side of the room here, but yeah, everyone's dying to play here. So this is, I don't want to say that they're like, I understand this attitude, like you want to project strength, you want to project positivity, because what's the point of being doom and gloom about it? Like, everyone can read between the lines and see that. With that said, saying people are dying to come play here when you're about to lose your top two players is a strong statement. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they think, listen, we're going to get a meeting with, again, Durant is like, Durant, Kawhi, those names are not even realistic for a meeting, I feel like. But then, I mean, you try for meetings with Kemba Walker, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and then obviously you have a next tier of course, you're going to get the meetings with like Vucevic and the next tier of free agents that may or may not be deserving of a max deal. It's very clear from last night that the Celtics fully intend on being in on those conversations, even if they don't, offer a full max for a guy like Vuce or obviously sign a top tier max guy. Right, and then we should also say that just having cap space, there's more things you can do with it than just sign a free agent outright. You can absorb players and trades who are on hefty contracts, and there's going to be teams that are looking to pivot, that are that are surveying the landscape, even though it feels like it's a win now situation for most of the league. Some teams will look at it and be like, we don't really want to be in the tax when there are 11 teams that are going for it right now, that are seriously considering themselves as championship contenders. So like a Steven Adams could become available, and then you can kind of just take that contract in. And there's, I don't like Clint Capella, but Clint Capella may be available. And so it's just, just having all that room, it doesn't necessarily... I'm not really speaking to what Danny said, because this is, again, a trade, and those players are it's kind of out of their hands whether or not they go to the Celtics and whether or not they're happy. But there's a lot of options that the Celtics will have, and I'm sure that they will turn over every rock over the next few weeks.
It's clear publicly projecting plan A is sign a max free agent that we want. The likelihood of that plan coming to fruition is, I don't think, great, but I think a strong plan B.
Do you not think it's great because they just lost Horford and Kyrie?
I think that's part. I mean, I think it's like how things look right now, like how last season went, like from a team-wide perspective. Like, it's not just Al and Kyrie leaving. It's like Tatum and Jalen didn't take big steps forward, but
we don't it's no one's like a dumbass who's like looking
dummy,
at the situation.
But for sure. But like, are you going to have a realistic? Do you think you're going to put that team over the top to take down Giannis or the Sixers? And maybe some free agent will think yes, but with the amount of other teams in better destinations and with arguably better supporting casts in place, it might be a tough sell. But all it takes is one guy to buy it, though. So we don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not particularly easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world to prize someone away in free agency, right, especially if you're a guy like Vucevic. We'll use just Vucevic and Kemba as the two primary examples because I think they're the best here. Both those guys are on teams that may offer them 5-year max contracts. They might use the Celtics as leverage, or a team like the Celtics as leverage, to get that 5th year and get that extra however many $1 million that will be guaranteed. It's not easy, but I just think that if you are Vucevic or you are Kemba, the Celtics are like on a different level in terms of a lot of things, like national TV exposure, winning. Like there's serious talent on the Celtics roster. They have playoff experience. There's a much higher ambition and goals. Like clearly they want to win a title. That's what the ownership group has stated multiple times. Like you cannot say the same thing in Charlotte, where they just will not pay the luxury tax. Michael Jordan's allergic to it. Or Orlando, where just look at Orlando. It's like,
yeah, no, you have a better pitch than those current teams. There's no question. Like, you don't have to convince me on that. It's more like I think other teams, the Clippers, may be searching hard. Dallas has a surprisingly good-looking young core.